Well, I think our strategy has been hurt very, very much, as have most growth strategies, by the fears associated with inflation and higher interest rates. And as I mentioned, we think that's going to turn around. We see the growth coming out of these 5 platforms. These are 5 innovation platforms. These are exponential growth trajectories. And we faced a lot of COVID-related comparison issues in stocks like Roku, Teladoc, Zoom, and so forth. So there's been a lot of confusion on very short-term indicators in the market. But the explosive growth is there. It has happened, and we think it's going to continue. We see that in the global public equity markets, truly disruptive innovation, which is all we focus on, is priced at roughly $8 trillion in value in the markets today. That number, we believe, is going to more than 200 trillion during the next 8 to 10 years. So it's going from less than 10% of the global public equity market to what we believe will be 60%. And the reason we believe that it will move to that level is because these platforms are going to disrupt the traditional world order in a way like we have never seen before. We were not around in the early 1900s when telephone, electricity, and the automobile disrupted the existing world order. These are 5 platforms, not 3, and they involve 14 different technologies. So we do extensive research. I think we do the best research, if I might say, because of our sole focus on it. And we give that research away because we want people to understand how their lives are going to change and how their children's, grandchildren's lives are going to change, and how important it is for all of us to get on the right side of change.
Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, ARK Invest CEO and CIO Cathie Wood shares her outlook on the current situation of the U.S. economy, global recession, and peaking inflation. Cathie also updates about the possibility of a significant policy pivot by the Fed in the next 3 to 6 months. Make sure to stick around till the end of this video where Cathie Wood makes a big prediction about the future price action of Bitcoin.
Would you put new money to work in Bitcoin today?
We are very positive in Bitcoin. We have in our Big Ideas 2022, which you can find on our website, we have a price target in 2030 of $1.3 million. It's only 21,000 now, and we can show you the building blocks, how we get there. Yes, well, we think if we're right about what's going on in the economy right now, and inflation is going to come down fairly dramatically, that will be a big positive for growth stocks. The compression in our performance, what we do during periods like this is we concentrate our holdings towards our highest conviction names. So we have taken our flagship strategy from 55 names down to 33 names. We did the same thing during COVID, but that was just a 1 month worth of pain, and it was awfully painful over a month. And from the lows in COVID, we moved up in the span of less than a year by 360%. So that was probably ahead of its time. We've corrected tremendously, and now we have many what I would consider deep value stocks if you give us a 5-year investment time horizon. In terms of hedging, what I just described, that concentration strategy, people would say, oh, well, my goodness, you're taking more risk. No, we're not. We have a scoring system, and which naturally takes us towards higher scoring names during corrections. So it's kind of a pruning of the portfolio. And in terms of hedging, that's not what we do. That's what asset allocators do. That's what advisors do. We are a slice of their portfolios, and they will position, depending on clients' risk tolerance, they will position us anywhere from 2% of their portfolios towards 10%. And as I said, I think in the broad-based benchmarks, our strategies, our stocks, will end up at more than 60%. So we are in very early days. And that's why we encourage our investors as well to get on the right side of change. It's been awfully painful. And believe me, I do feel it. And we're completely committed. We actually increased our own ownership of our firm in the middle of all of this. That's how high our conviction is. And almost every employee participated in that.
Cathie Wood, CEO of investment management firm ARK Invest, is convinced that August inflation will drop convincingly from July. Cathie said, used car prices dropped 4% in August, roughly 50% at an annual rate, have dropped 10% since peaking in January, and if electric vehicles are as disruptive as we believe, could be cut in half, hitting lows last seen during the GFC in late 2008. Core inflation, however, which is the change in costs of goods and services but does not include those from food and energy, is expected to show an increase from 5.9% year over year to 6.1%. If this occurs, coinciding with a drop in headline inflation, then the direction of the market will be very hard to predict, as core inflation is a key metric that the Federal Reserve pays attention to.
Well, we think profits are going to be under tremendous pressure. And until some of these cost declines make it through and inventories are cleared. Now, we do not think this will be anything like 08, 09, which I know many people fear. We think it's much more of an inventory recession and a drag from the rest of the world, Europe being crushed by energy prices, China being or readjusting to quote unquote common prosperity. So I think it'll be more of an inventory recession. And, there's been a lot of denial that we are in recession. We think we are. We think it's an inventory recession and that we'll be coming out next year, whereas many people, forecasters are saying we'll be going in next year. So I actually think the market will be looking up as we're exiting this year.
Typically, rate hikes have been bad for Bitcoin this year. In context, the period of the Fed raising its benchmark rates from near zero in March 2022 to 2.25% to 2.5% in August 2022 has coincided with Bitcoin price declining over 50%. To this point, the labor sector has been very resilient. Nonetheless, the latest Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows that the jobless rate has risen to 3.7% from 3.5% in August.
Yes. Well, he repeated what he said in Jackson Hole, essentially. They're focused only on prices. Now, they have a dual mandate, employment and prices. Frankly, I'm happier that they're focused on more of a price rule. So that's good. But I think the reason for the pivot is going to be a massive amount of deflation in the system. It's already here. If you look at commodity prices, the gold price, for example, it actually peaked in August of 2020, and it's at the lower end of a 2-year range, while copper has broken down, oil is breaking down, lumber has crashed, iron ore as well. Freight rates out there are suggesting that the supply chains are loosening up quite significantly. The rates are coming down. So we've got deflation in the system. And one more thing, we also see a massive inventory overhang around the world. You've got Europe in recession, China in recession, effectively. And here in the United States, retailers are bulging with inventories, which will have to be cleared with discounts. So we think we're going to see some major downside surprises in inflation during the next 3 to 6 months.
But Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has asserted that the central bank could hike rates further to bring inflation down to their preferred target of 2%. As of July, the U.S. Consumer Price Index, or CPI, was 8.5% year over year. The August inflation data is scheduled to release on September 13th, with a Reuters poll of economists predicting it would fall to 8.1%, citing a recent drop in energy prices. That is still far from the Fed's 2% inflation target, which will lead to a hard landing. Thus, a hawkish Fed could usher in rising joblessness and an economic recession, similar to what Musk predicts about deflation.
So the Fed is looking at the PCE deflator, which peaked in February at 5.3%. It's down to 4.6%. And we believe we've already seen some negative numbers. Nobody believes them. We do. And we believe we're going to see some more negative numbers during the next 3 to 6 months. So wouldn't be surprised to see it well down into the threes in the next 3 to 6 months, if not into that 2 handle. And I think if we get enough sequential declines, that the Fed will change its tune quite dramatically.
Bitcoin could feel the pain of a deflation-led recession, with analysts suggesting that companies with cash holding would not dip their toes in a volatile asset until the economy has bottomed. From 2020 to 2021, there was a large number of new entrants in the space of digital assets, which pretty much doubled the total hodlings in treasuries. And as the market slowed down, everything stopped. So what do you think about Cathie Wood's Bitcoin prediction? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.